So this is it. This is what remains of Basing House, and yeah, it's there's not much left, but this is one of the most fierce battles in the English Civil War. There were terrible atrocities happened here, and people say that the ghosts of some of the people that once lived here and battled here still linger.
I think this is where the Grey Lady was seen, or White Lady.
Yeah, there's a grey lady in one area and a white lady in another.
That's right.
The area we're going into, I believe they say there's the White Lady. Puffed out again. I had to rush all the way down to the barn to get the tickets to get in. And it's quite an interesting place. Spooky, I tell you, it's spooky down there. But I was saying to camera that when they finally did the final destruction of this place, they burnt it down with all the people in it, and they burnt them alive.
Yes, and there was 3 monks, I believe, and some link with Oliver Cromwell as well, if I remember rightly.
Oh, well, Oliver Cromwell, of course, was the guy that was running the army against them.
While you was away, I was listening to the oration there, and they were stating that the villagers used to come and pinch the bricks, these red bricks, because if you notice most of these houses here have got the red bricks which came from the building that got destroyed.
Yeah, I read about that too. They did it with all the famous
he said,
buildings.
Imagine coming with a wheelbarrow and you've got 3 bricks, he said, and that's why nothing's said about it.
Right. Yeah, it was a huge, this was a huge
yes.
house. I mean, huge,
and
enormous.
Another thing he said was, of course, William, whatever his name was, that went bankrupt, and because nobody else wanted it to go further into bankrupt, they sent people in to rip the floorboards up.
Really?
That's what he said.
So it was destroyed in the end by the villagers, the last bits that were left.
Well, they took the floorboards so nobody else could take it, because the owner was William something, and really stripped everything.
Yeah, they did it in Rome. Anyway, let's go and have a look around the grounds now and see what we can find, and see if we can pick up any feelings about the battle here, actually, because that's the bit I think is most interesting about this place. They say the soldiers still come around here. This had been one of the major battle points. This obviously a wooden bridge, but it would have been here the original.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to sit in the original chair over there.
Go and sit in the original chair. Shall I go and have a quick look round? All right. Right, let's go and have a look and see what we can see from the old battlements where most of the people died, and where most of the sightings have been of soldiers from the English Civil War. So this looks like one of the bridges to enter it. This would have been a spot of fierce fighting again. So part of the original bridge is still there, it looks like, going underneath. So it did have big cellars as well, this place, huge great cellar areas with kitchens underneath, and it was one of the first houses to kind of have large below ground areas. Here we are, we're right in the centre now of the old house, and this looks pretty interesting. One of the things I read, but there's a special secret tunnel here somewhere hidden. It's still intact, and this was used to escape the fortress when it was on fire. Some escaped, but most died in screaming agony. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is the escape tunnel. I'd love to go down there, I really would. Clearly a bit dangerous because it's something you would have crawled through. but God knows what spirits and energies would still be left there. A place where few people have disturbed it, I suppose. Cool, this is low, Jane, isn't it? Blimey. Oh, bloody hell.
I've been waiting for you to come back to help
You
me.
kneel, you could kneel. Gordon Bennett.
I know.
So, pick any interesting vibes up while you've been sat here?
Well, all I keep hearing is cannons all the time, screaming.
Yeah.
And I keep seeing all buildings, there were all blood trickling down the walls and like rivers of blood.
Yeah, it would have been brutal war here.
And people screaming.
And pointless. Well, I suppose it brought us to our modern day democracy, but pointless really when you see a civil war, people against people, you know, of the same background.
Wars?
Yeah.
I don't agree with any wars.
I think civil wars are the worst of them all.
Shall we have a civil cup of tea in an English civil
Yes, okay.
hut?
There are large areas we can walk around the ramparts if you want.
Get going, what are you waiting for?
But they're just grass mainly. I think that's the most interesting part.
I think it was. I've been waiting for you to come back. I got down, but I thought, oh, bloody hell.
You alright?
That must have been tiny little people.
That made you jump.
Well, I thought this is the orchard. I thought that's Oliver Cromwell coming out of the bushes at us.
That's quite a nice childlike thing, but there's
But look at this. This made me laugh.
There's supposed to be here also a ghost of a child. There's supposed to be a ghostly child, and you're supposed to hear his or her laughter. I think it's supposed to be in that area over there, Jane. I'm going to go and have a quick look.
Go on then.
The sound of the child is supposed to echo from some of these buildings. Now, there's not many buildings left for it to echo from. So perhaps if we're quiet, we might just hear something. Nope, nothing at all there. Okay. Hang on. So that's some notes that we picked up from there.
Yeah. And then it even tells you when they excavated
Excavated it.
and they found all those bottles and bones and flints and those cannonballs. I thought that was the scream of a child.
It actually did sound weird, that.
Did you hear that?
I heard that, yeah. I was over there trying to see if I could hear a sound. I didn't hear anything.
Well, we're talking about flints and cannonballs and it sounded like a scream.
It did. It sounded like a child.
It came over there, didn't it?
Yeah, that direction.
Did you hear it?
Well, fancy that.
Because you don't
I
necessarily...
mean, I was mucking around over there with
yeah,
it.
but you don't
I mean,
necessarily... People think ghosts and apparitions come out at night. Not necessarily.
No, no. So in that great barn that I went and looked around, apparently that's the place where the music is supposed to appear. Weird music is supposed to circulate that place. Some people say that they claim to hear ghostly music emanating from the great barn. This is the place where the figure of a giant is supposed to have appeared. A giant shadow that people feel touches them, creeps up from behind, causes all sorts of scary stuff. Oh, sorry, I just had a horrible thought. Sorry about that. So it's gone now. I'm all right now. I'm fine. Okay. Got ya.
Well, if you enjoy my shows here and you enjoy reading my books and you enjoy my work generally, you might like to join me on Zoom, because perhaps you'd like to open your own psychic powers and discover and awaken your spiritual potential. So you can join me now on my transformative psychic workshops, which are on Zoom. Group sessions on Zoom. You will learn to meditate. You'll learn to develop your psychic skills. You'll learn to open your spiritual powers. And I'll share with you my knowledge of spiritualism, plus my knowledge from the East, from India, and the things I've learned over my years. And together, perhaps, we can navigate this troubled world together. We can share our feelings, our thoughts, our hopes, our ambitions with clarity and purpose. So you can join me. Click the link below. It's in the description of this video. Spaces are limited, of course, but join me to unlock your psychic and spiritual potential.